The Starlight Diner sat at the edge of the Orion Arm, a small human business inside the big galactic trade hub Alpha 9. It was the only human-owned shop in this area, a simple reminder of Earth among the fancy alien buildings that filled the station. Lily Morgan wiped the counter with quick, practiced moves. At 28, she had worked for the last 3 years serving Earth food to many types of aliens who came to the hub. Most came for something new, some for tastes they couldn't find anywhere else in the galaxy, and a few because they truly liked talking to her. Today was not like other days. The galactic cultural exchange was happening, and people from 17 different alien worlds had come to Alpha 9. These weren't just normal travelers, but important people, the best and brightest from the most advanced alien worlds. "Hey, sweetie, more of that brown drink," called a tall, green-skinned Varaxi from the corner table. His friends, a lizard-like draconian and 2 crystal-shaped luminari, laughed with him. "Coming right up," Lily said, reaching for the coffee pot. She was used to being talked down to. Humans were new to space travel, having found ways to travel faster than light only 40 years ago. Most aliens saw humans as simple, less developed beings. As she brought the coffees, she heard what they were saying. "Can you believe they're letting humans join the exchange?" the draconian said, his scales moving with laughter. "What could they possibly show us? Their short lives? Their tiny bit of history?" The Varaxi stretched his long fingers. "I heard they're showing something they call music. They hit things and blow into tubes to make noise patterns." "How cute," one of the luminari said, her crystal body shining as she spoke. "I guess we should be nice about it. Every young species has to start somewhere." Lily kept a calm face as she filled their cups again. The Galactic Cultural Exchange was the biggest event in this part of space, showing off the art and culture of each world that took part. She knew that Earth's team had worked for years to get ready for this chance. What these aliens didn't know was that Lily wasn't just any waitress. Before taking this job at the edge of human space, she had been one of Earth's best piano players. A rare nerve problem had caused her hands to shake, ending her music career and making her look for a new life among the stars. The doctors had given her new treatments, but they weren't sure if she would ever play again. She looked at the black piano in the corner of the diner, a real Earth piano that the owner had brought here at great cost. It was meant just for show, to look nice. She hadn't touched it since coming here 3 years ago, too scared of what might happen. But as she listened to the aliens make fun of humans, something woke up inside her. "You're quiet, human," the Varaxi said, turning his head. "Did we hurt your feelings?" Lily smiled nicely. "Not at all, sir. Just thinking about tonight's show." "You're going?" the draconian asked, truly surprised. "I wouldn't miss it," Lily said, wiping her hands on her apron. "It's not every day we get to see all the best culture in the galaxy." As she walked away, Lily made up her mind. The shaking in her hands had gone away months ago, but fear had kept her from trying to play. Tonight, that would change. Earth's team needed all the help it could get. The big hall of Alpha 9 was set up for the Galactic Cultural Exchange. 17 areas circled the huge middle stage, each showing the art of a different alien world. Floating signs told you what each area was: Varaxi dream shaping, draconian flame poetry, luminari crystal sounds, and more strange arts that human words could barely describe. Earth's area was small compared to the others: pictures of old paintings, books, and a small space with musical tools. The human team, dressed in their best clothes, looked nervous as they showed people around. Lily came in quietly, having changed out of her work clothes into the only nice outfit she had, a simple black dress she had packed when leaving Earth. She hadn't told anyone what she planned to do, not even Rick, the diner's owner, and her friend. The main event was about to start, shows by chosen people from each world. The Galactic Council member in charge was a Tellurian, a gas-based life form inside a fancy robot suit. "Dear guests," the Tellurian's voice filled the hall. "We now start the show part of our exchange. Each world will show their best form of art." The shows were amazing. The Varaxi made living sculptures from clay that moved through the air. The Draconians did flame poetry, their words showing up as patterns of colored fire. The Luminari made crystal sounds that seemed to touch your very soul. Each show got nice words and clapping from the crowd. But as Earth's turn came closer, Lily saw the mood change, hope turning into just being polite. No one expected much. And now, the Tellurian said, we welcome the people of Earth, who will play what they call classical music on tools called violins and cellos. 4 human players took the stage with their string tools. They were clearly good at what they did, but as they began to play, Lily could see the barely hidden smiles on alien faces. The music, beautiful to human ears, seemed just simple and nice to most of the aliens. The Varaxi from the diner caught her eye and raised an eyebrow as if to say, see what I mean? When the string players finished, there was polite clapping, but Lily could hear the whispers. Cute in a simple way. Such a small range of sounds. They're trying so hard. The human team looked sad as they left the stage. The Earth ambassador, Alan Forrest, an older man with gray hair, tried to keep smiling, but Lily could see he was upset. As the Tellurian got ready to call the next world, Lily made her move. She went up to Ambassador Forrest quickly. Sir, she whispered, I have an idea. Who are you? He asked, confused. I'm Lily Morgan. I work at the Starlight Diner, but before that, I was a piano player on Earth. Let me play. The ambassador blinked, in surprise. This is not normal. Sir, with all respect, what do we have to lose? They already think we're simple. Let me show them what human music can really be. After a moment of thinking, the ambassador nodded and hurried to talk with the Tellurian. They talked briefly, and then the Tellurian came back to the middle of the stage. We have a change in the program, the Tellurian said, surprise clear in its voice. The Earth team has asked for one more show by a worker from their food place? Confused sounds and laughs moved through the crowd. The Varaxi from the diner laughed out loud, seeing Lily as she walked toward the stage. Isn't that the waitress from the diner? He said loudly enough for others to hear. Lily ignored the comments as she went to the beautiful big piano that had been set up for the Earth display but hadn't been used. It was a Steinway, one of the best tools ever made by human hands. She sat down, moved the seat, and took a deep breath. It had been 3 years since she had played. Her hands hung over the keys, and for a scary moment she felt her old shaking almost come back. Then she began to play. Lily's fingers hit the first notes of a very hard piano piece. The start was simple, a quiet tune that slowly grew more complex. For the first minute, the alien crowd stayed politely quiet, but not very impressed. Then the music changed. Her hands began to move faster and more exactly, making complex patterns across the keyboard. The tune went up and down, building feelings through nothing but sound. What the aliens didn't know was that this music was made to push the very limits of what humans could do. It needed not just skill, but feeling that turned emotion into sound. As Lily reached the first loud part, she noticed a change in the crowd. The crystal luminari had stopped talking among themselves and were facing the stage. The lizard-like draconian scales had turned deep blue, which meant they were paying close attention. Even the green Varaxi who had made fun of her earlier was leaning forward, his face showing real interest. Lily closed her eyes, letting the music flow through her. Her hands, once hurt by her nerve problem, now moved with perfect skill across the keys. She played not just with the right notes, but with all the feeling of someone who had lost this gift once and found it again. The music got harder, needing perfect timing and hand control that pushed against the limits of the human body. Lily's world became just the piano and the music. She forgot the crowd, forgot what was at stake, forgot everything except the talk between her soul and the piano. When she hit the biggest, loudest part of the first section, something strange happened. The luminari began to glow brighter, their bodies reacting to the music in a way that made new sounds throughout the hall. It wasn't planned, but the crystal beings were physically responding to the sound she made. Feeling brave, Lily put even more emotion into her playing. She moved to the second part, where the music explored deeper, more thoughtful feelings. Here, the fast, hard parts gave way to deep expression, the kind that showed the shared language that lived inside all thinking beings: joy, sadness, longing, victory. The draconian group's scales had now changed through several colors, a sign that they were feeling strong emotions. The Varaxi had put out their feeling arms, parts they only showed when deeply moved by art. As she neared the final part, Lily noticed something amazing. The different tools that the aliens used to talk to each other were being turned off one by one. They didn't need help understanding anymore. The music was talking directly to them, going past words entirely. The third part was a test of strength as much as skill. Human piano players trained their whole lives to build the energy needed for this section. Lily's arms hurt with effort, but she pushed through, building toward the end with everything she had. In the last few minutes of the music, something magic happened. The Luminari began to make sounds that went with her playing, creating a surprise. Backup. It wasn't planned. It was a natural response to what they were hearing. Their crystal bodies had become sound boxes, making the music bigger and richer in ways no human group ever could. When Lily played the final notes, the hall fell into complete quiet. For 3 heartbeats, no one moved or made a sound. Then, the clapping began. It wasn't the polite, diplomatic clapping from earlier. It was loud, real joy that took different forms depending on the alien. Draconians hitting their tails, Luminari vibrating at musical rates, Varaxi making their sensing, fields big and small quickly. As Lily stood and took a small bow, she saw the Varaxi who had mocked her coming toward the stage. His face held a look she had never seen on his kind before. Humbleness. "Waitress," he said, using her job title but now without any looking down on her. "We had no idea." News of the human Waitress's playing spread through Alpha 9 very fast. By the time Lily returned to the Starlight Diner for her work shift the next day, a line of alien visitors stretched out the door and down the hall. Most weren't there to eat. They just wanted to see the human who had made such powerful sound patterns. "I don't understand," Rick said as he cooked pancakes on the grill, sometimes looking at the crowd. "You never told me you could play." "Like that?" Lily shrugged as she poured coffee for a patient Luminari. It wasn't important for serving hash browns. Ambassador Forrest arrived mid-morning, pushing through the crowd with an energy that seemed young for his age. "Ms. Morgan," he called out, "we need to talk." He sat in a booth while Lily finished serving her customers. When she finally got a bow break, she sat down across from him. "You've caused quite a stir," he said, his eyes twinkling. "The Galactic Council is very interested. They want to know more about human music, about how we create such complex patterns without tech help." "It's just piano playing, sir." "No, it's not just anything," he insisted. "The Luminari culture person told me that your playing made emotional responses across 17 different brain patterns. Do you know how rare that is? Most art forms only work well for species with similar senses." Lily sipped her coffee thoughtfully. "I just played what I felt." "Exactly." The ambassador leaned forward. "That's what they find so amazing. You weren't using tech to figure out sound waves or music math. You were playing from, what's the word? Soul? I guess so. The Varaxi group has officially asked Earth to provide music teachers for their culture school. The Draconians want to start a culture sharing program focused on human music. And the Luminari, well, they're suggesting something even more amazing." He pushed a data pad across the table. On it was an official paper from the Galactic Council. They're offering humans full membership in the Galactic Union, starting right now. Not watching status, not trial membership, full membership with all rights and good things. They're naming your playing as proof that our species has reached the harmonic maturity needed for advanced world status. Lily nearly choked on her coffee. "Because of a piano recital? Because you showed that humans have emotional smarts and expressive abilities equal to species that have been space traveling for thousands of years." The ambassador's face grew serious. "Do you realize what this means for Earth? Access to advanced medical tech, learning exchanges, trade deals, things that would have taken us decades to talk out." Before Lily could answer, The diner's door made a sound as a group of Varaxi officials came in, led by the same one who had mocked her the day before. He came to their booth and bowed deeply, a sign of great respect in Varaxi culture. "Musician, Lily," he said formally. "I come to offer my personal sorry and to extend an invite. The Grand Harmony of Varaxi wishes you to play at our capital world during the season of new growth. It would be the highest honor our people could give to a non-Varaxi artist." Similar invites came all day long. The Draconians wanted her for their Festival of Rising Flames. The Luminari asked her to come to their Crystal Sound ceremony, an event no non-Luminary had ever been invited to before. By evening, when the crowd had finally thinned, Lily sat at the counter trying to understand everything that had happened. Rick placed a slice of apple pie in front of her, comfort food from home. "So," he said, leaning on the counter, "are you going to accept any of these fancy invites? Sounds like you could be the most famous human in the galaxy." Lily poked at the pie with her fork. "I don't know, I didn't come to space to be famous, I came here to start over." "Maybe this is part of your new start," Rick suggested. As they talked, a shy young Draconian came to the counter. Unlike most of his kind, his scales were a pale green, showing he was young. "Excuse me," he said nervously, "but I heard you play yesterday and—" He paused, gathering courage. "I make sound patterns too. My family says it's a waste of time, that I should focus on flame poetry like a proper Draconian. But after hearing you, I wondered if... Would you listen to my music?" Lily looked at the young alien, seeing in him the same love of music that had driven her since childhood. "I'd be honored," she said softly. As the young Draconian's scales turned bright with joy, Lily realized that perhaps her journey hadn't been about running from her past, but about bringing human music to the one place it had never been heard before. 6 months later, the Starlight Diner had changed. The small eatery now spread into the next shops, with the original diner still serving food from Earth, but the new spaces for what had become known throughout the sector as the Interspecies Harmony Project. Lily moved between students of a dozen different species, each learning to play human instruments changed for their unique bodies. A Draconian youth practiced on a heat-safe piano with slightly bigger keys for his claws. A pair of Luminari worked, with specially designed string instruments that could handle the vibrations their crystal bodies naturally made. A young Varaxi focused hard as his 4 hands played a complex piece on 2 different instruments at the same time. The Galactic Council had paid for the project as part of the new culture sharing program that had grown since Lily's performance. Earth had gone from a curiosity to a culture powerhouse in galactic politics, with human music leading the way. Musician Lily called the young Draconian, who had come to her that night 6 months ago, now her most dedicated student. "I've finished my music." Krell, as he was called, proudly showed a sheet of music notes that mixed traditional Earth notation with Draconian flame symbols. His music was an attempt to bridge human musical traditions with the emotional patterns of his own species. "Let's hear it," Lily said with encouragement. As Krell began to play, Ambassador Forrest entered with a group of Earth officials and various alien dignitaries. They stood quietly at the back, not wanting to interrupt the lesson. The young Draconians. Music began with a traditional Draconian theme, notes rising like flames, but then added harmonic structures that were clearly human. It was neither Earth music nor Draconian fire song, but something new, a true mixing of both traditions. When he finished, the room burst into applause. Krell's scales turned deep blue with pride and shyness. "That was beautiful," Lily told him. "You've really understood how to combine both traditions without losing the heart of either." Ambassador Forrest came forward, smiling widely. "Ms. Morgan, I've brought some people who wanted to see your project firsthand." He introduced the Earth officials, representatives from the newly formed Galactic Cultural Affairs Office, and several alien dignitaries, including the Varaxi who had once mocked her, now one of her strongest supporters. "The council is impressed with what you've done," the ambassador continued. "They're suggesting to set up similar centers on 15 different worlds, with Earth musicians serving as the main teachers. The Varaxi stepped forward. What you have created here is more valuable than any trade deal or military alliance. You have shown us that despite our different bodies, despite growing up on worlds light years apart, we share something basic: the ability to create and enjoy beauty. Lily looked around at her students, beings so different from humans that early alien scientists had questioned whether meaningful talk would even be possible. Yet here they were, united by rhythm, harmony, and melody. Music was always humanity's universal language, she said. We just never imagined how universal it could be. Later that evening, after the important visitors had left and the students had gone home, Lily sat alone at the piano in the dimly lit diner. The nerve problem that had once threatened her career was now fully treated, thanks to Luminari Medical, tech that had been part of the new exchange programs. She played softly, making up a melody that included elements from all the species she had come to know. Varaxi flowing phrases, draconian intensity, Luminari crystal clarity. As she played, she realized that when she had left Earth, she had thought she was running away from something. Instead, she had been running toward a destiny greater than she could have imagined. The door chimed, and Rick entered from the kitchen. Still at it? It's past midnight, you know. Lily smiled but didn't stop playing. Did you ever think your little diner would become the birthplace of interstellar harmony? He laughed, wiping his hands on his apron. When I hired a down-on-her-luck pianist to serve coffee, I was just hoping you'd help during the busy hours. Life has a way of surprising us, she said. Speaking of surprises, Rick said, I got a message from Earth today. They're naming the new Galactic Cultural Center after you, the Lily Morgan Institute for Interspecies Artistic Expression. She hit a wrong note in surprise. They're what? Turns out being the human who earned our species a seat at the galactic table makes you kind of a big deal. Lily shook her head, still uncomfortable with fame. I just played the piano. No, Rick said softly. You showed an entire galaxy that sometimes the most profound statements come from the most unexpected sources. You reminded everyone, human and alien alike, not to judge by appearances. He pointed toward the window where the vast arm of the Milky Way stretched across the empty space, each point of light possibly home to civilizations with their own art forms, their own expressions of what it meant to be thinking beings. And most importantly, he continued, you proved that a waitress from a small diner at the edge of human space could change the course of interstellar relations. Lily resumed playing, her fingers dancing across the keys as naturally as breathing. The melody she created floated through the diner and out into the corridors of Alpha 9, where beings of a dozen different species paused in their activities, turning their heads or extending sensory organs to better catch the sound. It was a simple truth that had been waiting for someone to show. In a vast and often scary universe, beauty was the one language every species could understand. As the last notes faded into silence, Lily Morgan, once just a waitress with a hidden talent, closed the piano lid gently, ready for whatever tomorrow might bring. 1 year after Lily's first performance, Alpha 9 was a very different place. The small trading hub had grown into the cultural center of this part of the galaxy. Ships from over 30 worlds now docked regularly, not just for trade, but to visit what many called the music station. The Starlight Diner had kept its name, but it was now just one small part of a much larger complex called the Harmony Center. Rick still served Earth food in the original diner space, but he now had a staff of 10 humans and 5 aliens who had developed a taste for cooking. Lily walked through the main concert hall, where workers were setting up for tonight's big event. It was the 1-year anniversary of her performance, and the Galactic Council had decided to hold a special concert to mark the occasion. Musician Lily, is this placement correct? Asked a tall Varaxi, holding a large drum-like instrument. Perfect, Zentar, she said with a smile. Remember, we need to leave room for the Luminari chorus. Their resonance fields need at least 3 meters of space. The past year had been a time of learning for everyone. Lily had learned how different species heard and made music, and the aliens had learned how humans turned simple vibrations in the air into emotions that could be shared across species. The door opened and a group of important-looking humans entered. Lily recognized the Earth ambassador, but the others were new to her. "Ms. Morgan," Ambassador Forrest called out. "May I introduce the Earth Minister of Galactic Affairs and the new director of the Interspecies Harmony Commission." Lily wiped her hands on her pants and went to greet them. She no longer wore a waitress uniform or even the simple black dress from her first performance. Her clothes now represented her new position. Comfortable but well-made garments in deep blue with silver musical notes embroidered along the sleeves. The official uniform of an Earth cultural ambassador. "It's an honor to meet you both," she said, shaking hands. "I hope your journey was pleasant." The minister, a serious woman with gray-streaked hair, nodded. "The new transport paths have cut the travel time from Earth by half. One of the many benefits of our improved standing in the galaxy, thanks to you." Lily had heard this kind of talk many times now, but it still made her uncomfortable. "I just played the piano. It was the music that made the difference. And that humility is part of why you've been so effective," said the director, a tall man with a kind face. "The Draconians told me they find it remarkable that the human who changed galactic politics still takes time to teach beginner students." Before Lily could respond, a young luminary approached, her crystal body glowing softly in shades of blue and green. "Teacher Lily," the luminary said, her voice creating slight harmonics in the air. "We have finished the new composition for tonight. Would you listen to it now?" "Of course, Chira," Lily said, excusing herself from the officials. "Let's hear what you've created." As they walked away, she heard the minister say to the ambassador, "She truly doesn't realize how important she is, does she?" In a smaller practice room, 5 young aliens waited: the luminary Chira, the now not-so-young draconian Krell, a pair of Varaxi siblings, and a rare Tellurian who had removed part of their containment suit to better feel sound vibrations. This was Lily's advanced class, students who had shown special talent for cross-species music. They had been working for months on a piece for tonight's concert. "We're ready, teacher," Krell said, his scales now the deep green of an adult draconian. They took their positions at various instruments. Some were traditional Earth instruments, modified for alien anatomies. Others were alien instruments redesigned to work with human music theory. But the most interesting were the new hybrid instruments that had been created over the past year. Tools that combined the best features of different musical traditions. As they began to play, Lily closed her eyes and listened. The melody started, with a theme that was clearly based on a Bach fugue, but it evolved in ways the old Earth composer could never have imagined. The luminary added crystal harmonics that created overtones impossible for human ears to produce. The draconian added heat variations that could be felt rather than heard. The Varaxi siblings wove complex counter-melodies that complemented each other perfectly, and the Tellurian added subtle gas vibrations that gave depth to the entire piece. It was neither human music nor alien. It was something entirely new. When they finished, Lily opened her eyes to find herself crying. "That was beautiful," she said. "Truly beautiful." "Do you think it will be good enough for tonight?" Chira asked, her crystal form flickering with nervous energy. "It's perfect," Lily assured them. "You've created something that honors all your traditions while making something completely new. That's exactly what tonight is about." As her students packed up their instruments, Lily walked to the window that looked out into space. From this part of Alpha 9, she could see ships coming and going, the constant flow of traffic that now included vessels specifically coming for music education. A soft chime from her pocket alerted her to a message. She pulled out her comm device and saw it was from Earth. The Lily Morgan Institute for Interspecies Artistic Expression was officially opening next month, and they wanted to confirm she would be there for the ceremony. She sent a quick confirmation and put the device away. Her life had changed so much in just 1 year. From a waitress hiding from her past to someone whose name would be on buildings. It still felt unreal. "Teacher Lily?" Krell's voice pulled her from her thoughts. "Are you okay?" She turned to her, first student with a smile. just thinking about how strange life can be. A year ago, I was serving coffee and afraid to touch a piano. Krell's scales rippled with understanding. My clutchmates still don't understand why I chose music over flame poetry. But when they hear our performance tonight, they'll understand. Lily finished for him. Music has a way of making people understand. As they left the practice room, the sounds of various rehearsals filled the corridors of the Harmony Center. Human violinists played alongside draconian, heat drummers, Varaxi multi-handed keyboardists accompanied luminary crystal singers, and everywhere beings of different species stopped to listen. Their various sensory organs turned toward the music. The waitress, who had once been afraid to show her talent, had helped create this, a place where art bridged the gaps between worlds that science and politics never could. And tonight, when representatives from 27 worlds gathered for the anniversary concert, Lily would play again. Not to prove anything this time, but to celebrate how far they had all come together. The grand concert hall of Alpha 9 was filled to capacity. 2,000 beings from 27 different worlds sat in seats that had been designed to accommodate bodies of all shapes and sizes. The air was carefully balanced to allow breathing for gas-based life forms while remaining comfortable for those who needed solid atmospheres. Lily stood backstage, watching as her students performed. The advanced class had just finished their piece to thunderous applause. Now Krell was performing a solo, his claws moving with amazing skill across the heat-sensitive piano that had been built just for him. The audience watched in awe as patterns of colored flame rose from the instrument, matching the emotion in the music. "He's come so far," said a voice beside her. Lily turned to see Rick, dressed in a formal suit instead of his usual cooking clothes. "We all have," she said with a smile. "Remember when the diner was just a small place at the edge of the hub?" "Those were simpler days," Rick agreed, "but I wouldn't trade this for anything." Lily nodded as she watched Krell finish his performance. The draconian bowed deeply as the audience showed their appreciation in their various ways. "You're up next," Rick reminded her. "Are you ready?" Lily took a deep breath. "As ready as I'll ever be." The Tellurian master of ceremonies floated onto the stage in their containment suit. "And now, the moment many of you have been waiting for. 1 year ago, an Earth human changed how we think about art and communication between species. Please, welcome musician Lily Morgan." Lily walked onto the stage to a wave of sound as the audience reacted. She had performed many times over the past year, but this was special. This was a recreation of the moment that had started it all. She sat at the grand piano in the center of the stage, the same model as the one she had played a year ago, but now modified with new features suggested by alien musicians to enhance certain frequencies. "Thank you all for coming," she said, her voice carried by the translation system to all present. "A year ago, I played a piece by a human composer named Rachmaninoff. Today, I would like to play something new. A piece I have composed that honors both Earth traditions and what I have learned from all of you." She placed her hands on the keys and began to play. The melody started simply, reminiscent of her first performance, but soon it evolved into something more complex. This was not just human music. It incorporated elements from a dozen alien musical traditions, reimagined through human hands and human understanding. As she played, something magical began to happen. The luminari in the audience began to glow, in rhythm with her music, creating visual patterns that danced across the walls. The draconian scales shifted in colors that matched the emotional tones of each passage. The Varaxi extended sensing tendrils that moved like gentle waves in the air. Lily had composed this piece specifically to engage the different sensory systems of the various species present. It wasn't just sound. It was a full sensory experience that each being could appreciate in their own unique way. When she finished, there was a moment of silence, just as there had been a year ago. Then the response came. Not just applause, but a shared experience of appreciation that transcended any single species' way of showing approval. As Lily stood to acknowledge the audience, the doors at the back of the concert hall opened. A group of beings entered, species no one on Alpha 9 had ever seen before. They were tall, with iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors with each movement. Their eyes were large and entirely black, and they moved with a graceful, flowing motion. The audience turned to look at the newcomers in surprise. These were not representatives from any known world in the Galactic Union. The tallest of the new beings approached the stage, walking slowly down the center aisle as the crowd parted in confusion. When they reached the front, they looked up at Lily with those strange black eyes. "We heard your music," the being said, their voice musical and strange. The translation system took a moment to process their language. "We have traveled from beyond the Sagittarius arm to find its source." A murmur ran through the crowd. The Sagittarius arm was largely unexplored, considered too distant for regular travel. "You traveled all that way for music?" Lily asked, surprised. "We have been monitoring communications from this region for many decades," the being explained. "We heard fragments of what you call music, but did not understand its purpose. Then 1 year ago we detected something different, patterns that spoke to us in ways we had never experienced before." "Your performance." Lily looked out at the audience, at the Galactic Council members who were now moving forward with great interest. This was unprecedented. First contact initiated not by diplomats or scientists, but because of art. "We are the Melodians," the being continued. "In our culture we communicate through what you might call song. When we heard your music spreading across the stars, we knew we had found kindred spirits." The being extended a hand that shimmered with changing colors. "We wish to join your Harmony project. We have much to learn from you and perhaps something to teach as well." Lily looked from the Melodian to Ambassador Forrest, who nodded with an expression of amazed joy. She stepped forward and took the being's hand. "You are welcome here," she said simply. "Music belongs to everyone." As Lily and the Melodian stood together on the stage, a new chapter began. What had started with a waitress playing piano in defiance of those who had laughed at her species had now reached across the void between stars to bring together worlds that might never have connected otherwise. In the years that followed, the Harmony Center grew from a single station to a network that spread across 3 galactic arms. The Melodians brought with them musical traditions that revolutionized understanding of sound and its effects on living beings. New instruments were created, new forms of music discovered, and new connections made between species that once thought themselves too different to ever truly communicate. And at the heart of it all was a simple truth that Lily Morgan had proven that night 1 year ago. In a universe filled with differences, it was art that could build the strongest bridges. The waitress who had been laughed at had not just stolen the show, she had changed the stars themselves.